Good morning from beautiful Brisbane, Australia, and welcome to the Academy for Complex Trauma. My name's Linda. I'm your certified trauma recovery coach, and this morning we're going to do a couple of different and interesting things. We're going to look at the survivor's brain and everything that makes it up so that we can identify when we're in survival brain. Then we're going to look at learner brain and what we can identify when we're in learner brain. Because when we do this, it helps us recognize things like when we're dissociating. So when we've gone off into our imagination, I'm just shutting something so it doesn't interfere with our chat this morning. And this is important because, as Dr. Bessel van der Kolk says, our greatest challenge with complex trauma, complex PTSD, is reality. And that may sound funny at first, but as we do more of the internal work and we begin to be able to recognize when we're dissociating, when we're highly emotional, and so much more, it makes it easier for us to go, okay, I need now to be able to do something to change this up. Now, I'm going to do two things this morning, one a bit different. I'm going to show you a video by Jacob Ham, who has put together, I love it when they put together all the picture graphics, okay? Because then it gives us a really good visualization of what's happening between survivor brain and learner brain. And then I'll have the graphics for you. And a bit later today, hopefully not too long, I'll have the video and the graphics that you can download or print out in a link for you, which I'll put on my page and as a link everywhere else, so that you can download them, you can rewatch the video easily, and you can have them in front of you, because our sight, our vision, makes up 40% of what goes into our brain. So if we use things like printouts or have them on our phone so we can reference things like the anxiety trigger one I did yesterday, how to overcome the anxiety trigger, then it makes it easier for us to go, right, this is the one next thing I have to do. Because when we're in survivor brain, it's really hard to be focused on what we need to do. So we need every resource that we can get our hands on. Okay, this video by Jacob Ham is only about 5 minutes long, but you'll be able to still see me. I'll be here, so don't freak out. You haven't changed to another channel. But I just want you to be aware of what's happening internally for you as you watch the video, and feel what brain are you on at the moment as you go through the video. And at the end of the video, I'm going to ask you, were you able to recognize which brain you were operating out of at the moment? Okay, so let's have a look.
Hey, welcome back. Today, I really want to think about what's the best way to teach teachers about trauma without getting them distracted with all the technical stuff, and what's the most important thing for them to understand and learn. And I thought that the best way to do it might be to just make a difference between a learning brain versus a brain in survival mode. So we'll just call it learning brain versus survival brain. And this is the difference. So learning brain is this brain that's open to learning new information, and it's completely okay with ambiguity and grays and vagueness, and it sees the big picture. It like pulls back and is on the balcony, can look over the forest and figure out what's going on. On an emotional level, people in learning brain feel calm, peaceful, maybe a little excited about what they're about to learn, maybe a little playful and having fun too, and definitely curious. And they're not afraid of making mistakes because it's just part of the learning process. And so they're not really thinking about themselves. And they actually feel a little bit of confidence that if they just apply themselves, they might pick up what they're trying to learn. Now, survival brain, on the other hand, is completely different. It's hyper-focused on threat. It doesn't like ambiguity. It wants clear, hard facts. It thinks in black and white terms. It doesn't want anything to be gray at all. And then emotionally, you can imagine that survival brain makes people feel panicky, feel like a little obsessive and afraid of getting things wrong. And they don't feel calm and open to learning new things. They just want to get things over with. And people in survival brain also really don't like making mistakes. And they are afraid of looking stupid too. So students in survival brain don't want to be picked on. They don't want to raise their hand and ask questions and look stupid. And so these people are also filled with doubt about their own ability to learn stuff. And they're afraid that other people can see how stupid they really are. Now it's really important to understand how learning brain and survival brain interact. Because survival brain always trumps learning brain. And it makes sense because survival brain is just trying to save your life. And so if it thinks that there's something dangerous happening, you better pay attention to it, right? But the tricky thing is that as survival brain stays on longer and longer, it's harder to get out of that. And it's harder to really go to learning brain. And the way I think about it, it's kind of like the myth of Sisyphus. You know that guy who has to push a rock up a hill, and then every day it falls back down and he has to do it over and over again? Well, being in learning brain is like being up on the high parts of that mountain. You can see the expanse of what's going on, but it also takes a lot of work to be up there. And at any second, if you're not paying attention and putting effort into it, it's so easy to slip back into survival brain again. And that rock that Sisyphus is trying to push up, well, that's kind of like stress. And the more stressed you feel, the heavier and bigger that rock gets, and it just pushes you back into survival brain quicker. Now the kick here is that for traumatized people, stress is a really rigid and intense thing. And so with trauma, any little stress makes that rock grow way bigger than it normally would. And because people with trauma misperceive ambiguous situations as threatening and stressful, that rock just stays big all the time. Now the good news is that the more you control stress, well, the easier it is to be in learning brain, right? Because that rock is a lot smaller. And what I really want to highlight for teachers is that the best way to keep students in learning brain goes back to why I spent so much time talking about attachment. Students best learn when they feel like they're safe and supported by the adults around them. So it's kind of like a baby elephant. You know how like on those nature shows, the baby elephant is like playing with leaves or exploring a tree or something like that and having a lot of fun. And the only reason why they can do that is because there's a whole group of mama elephants around that baby, protecting it and looking out for danger. So a kid with trauma or who's stuck in survival brain, it's kind of like that baby elephant who doesn't have protective adults around them. They can't play and learn because they're way too focused looking out for threat and danger. So this is why I really believe that the most important thing that schools need to focus on, way more important than any kind of techniques or curricula, is really whether or not they are creating an environment where students feel like they're surrounded by these big mama elephants who are going to protect them and watch out for them and make them safe. And when students have that, I bet you it unlocks their curiosity, their eagerness to learn, and play as a way to learn. So I hope that's helpful. Let me know if you have any questions in the comments below. Thanks.
Okay. How did you find that information? Did it make it easier for you to understand what was happening when you feel stressed and overwhelmed, and how, having come out of a trauma, childhood developmental trauma, it gets bigger and bigger, and the pressure internally triggers all the trauma neural pathways that are happening, and we slip into survival brain so easily. I've been aware for some time now when I'm going in and out, but to be honest, it still takes time to be conscious of recognizing when it's happening. One of the easiest ways I began to recognize when it was happening is when I'd go into my imagination. So when I'm imagining how something will or won't turn out. So were you able to recognize whether or not you are in learner brain or survivor brain right now? Okay. Nat, I didn't have any problems, so I'm sorry. Hi girls, it's great to have you all in class this morning. And his video was a bit bassy as well, so that may be why. Not sure. Sorry about that. So what I've done is put all the information together from the video into lists of what we can recognize survival brain. Okay, so I'll give you the link for these afterwards so that you can have them. And the signs to recognize when we're in learning brain. But how do you use these lists? What you do is become aware of something in your day-to-day life off that list that happens frequently. And you want to build that awareness into your life so that you can feel safe to know that the stress and the pressure is causing this automatic, unconscious response. It's so important with complex trauma that we remember it's an unconscious response. It's not something that we can control. And that's very hard for people who've never had a mental illness to understand or to even comprehend, is that this isn't going into survival brain is an automatic response. So when I talk about I'm aware of when I'm in survival brain or learning brain, I'm not aware of the exact moment that it happens at this point in time, but I have been able to build an awareness of when I'm going in and out once it's already there. So, and I do this through looking at lists like this and going, I can see that emotional response happening in my day-to-day life. So one of the things that I've been doing lately is building an awareness around when my first response to something different happening is that I'm overly emotional. And I go, okay, I'm in survivor brain. So there's things happening with Chloe being overseas that are out of my control. And what's happening is I am having all these emotional responses and I'm going, oh my goodness. But when I get reconnected into learning brain, I'm like, oh, okay, that's all fine. I'll just get on with doing, because I'm at, part of me in learning brain is up on the top of that hill going, I have this really focused vision of what I want to do with my business. What's the one next step? But then when survivor brain kicks in, unconsciously out of my control, all of a sudden I'm off on another tangent, totally altogether. And it's not till I look back at my list and I go, oh my goodness, at what moment did that happen? But there's no point in going back to the why did this happen? Because it happens from that primitive part of the brain that it's still wired like that from our childhood. But we can work back to front and say, okay, if I'm having this highly emotional response to what's happening in front of me, I want to put together a set of strategies so that either in my situation with Chloe, I don't, have a verbal emotional vomit everywhere. I want to have strategies in place that I use so that I go, right, I need to sit down, first of all, get back into my learner brain, and I need to be able to manage my emotions as an adult. And one of the things that we need to be able to do is feel safe to feel those emotions that are all over the shop and go, okay, what strategies am I going to use while I put them back into place as well? I won't go through all the lists this morning because to do so we'd be here for forever, and it's really individual and it's up to you to start wanting to identify, to be willing to identify what is the one next thing that you want to recognize that's happening on survivor brain. So what's interrupting your life right now that you can recognize when you're on survivor brain, in order that you can go to learner brain and say, right, I want to change my emotions up and I want to get focused back into learner brain as well. And we can do that. We absolutely can do that as we practice. It's not going to happen the first time, but it does absolutely happen. Okay, I will post the links with the video and with the charts, the printouts for you very, very shortly. And I hope that's helped you, at least with today, be able to say, right, what's my one next step? What do I want to identify when I'm in survival brain? And how do I want to be able to transform my situation in my day-to-day life so I get back into learner brain. Okay, thanks for joining in, everyone, this morning. It's been great to have you here, and I will see you again tomorrow morning. Bye for now.